So welcome to Salesforce Mars Colony. This is a multi-video series where we are creating a project that models a Mars colony. This is spurred by a large interest personally in the new space exploration efforts and space commercialization that are really being pushed by people like Richard Branson, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos, and many more smaller companies. So hope we learn a lot, and we're going to learn some functionality and get hands-on. And so now we'll jump into our org. Okay, so in continuation of the Mars colony, today's video, we're going to go ahead and build out one of the larger components, which will be the spaceport. We'll just call it like X marks the spot, and it's a spaceport. And so the things that we're going to have here basically is we're going to need an object just for this itself, but then we're going to have spaceships, and the only things we're going to track with the spaceships right now is basically the name. We'll have a pick list saying it's a status, whether it's inbound, outbound, under repair, fuel. And fuel, we'll just have it measured in units, like barrels. How many barrels of fuel have we created? We'll have like a fuel creation plant. So we'll just say units made. And also maybe a pick list for type. You know, we'll have some hydrogen fuel, maybe some gasoline, or just straight water. And we can expand on this later. So that's one thing we're gonna build. In this video, I think we'll use lookup relationships for some of these. And then we're also gonna have our research lab, and I'll just represent it as a box, like a little house. Basically, the only thing that needs to go in here is just object for, fields for projects and project status. Okay, so, and this is just gonna be a smaller object. So that's gonna be two. So we're gonna hop into our org and build these two objects and all the related items that are needed. Probably do one more video where we just add a couple more fields and tidy up some things and prepare it so we can go ahead and start putting some functionality into the Mars base. So let's go ahead and hop into our org. All right, so I'm hopping into the object manager, and I like working in schema builder, especially for some things where we're going to have a lot more going on. So these are the three objects that we've made so far, representing 3 of the 5 initial modules of our Mars colony. And I'm going to go ahead and create the spaceport first. So I'll put it right here. So this basically serves as an airport, but it's for spaceships. And I guess the main components obviously is the spaceships and then the fueling process itself. We'll have spaceships as the record name. Just going to be a simple text, allow reports. So I'm thinking part of the spaceport, we would just go ahead and have a separate object because the fueling station is technically something different. So I'll call it the fueling station. So this is basically just where the rocket fuel is made, and we'll just say fuel. And while we're in here as well, the schema builder, I want to go ahead and create this object for our research lab. Okay, we're gonna have research projects there. Oops, I forgot to allow reports, but I could just go to edit object properties and check that. So we have our research lab here, and I'm just gonna have a pick list. This will be a simple object for now, just a pick list saying project status. And we're just gonna have in planning, in progress, and completed. So these are just going to be three different statuses of research projects. So I just took a second to do a quick research, and I found that it's better to use a lookup relationship here for spaceport and fueling station. So I'm going to have a fueling station lookup to have our fueling station look up to the spaceport, and we'll have that as a fuel reserves. Okay, so now we have this lookup. You see if you hover over here, lookup relationship from fueling station to spaceport. So from spaceport, I just want to be able to use related lists so I can see this information about the fuel. And arguably, I could have a whole separate list for the spaceships and have that look up to the spaceport as well. So I might break that down as well in the next video. And I said we're going to go clean up some things and make sure everything is laid out how we want it before we start working on functionality. So to check that layout, I just go back to the page layout, and I go here to related lists, and I see fuel reserves. So I want to add that here. Fuel reserves, this one doesn't need to be here. So now I have, that's because of my lookup relationship. And let's see, my other fields are all here: spaceship, company, and rocket status. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And lastly, remember, we need to add tabs because tabs are not created automatically. So those are our other three modules, but we're going to need one for the spaceport. This is the spaceport of Mars. And I'm going to need one more for fueling station. I'm also going to need one more for the research lab. Pick a thermometer there. Let's say this is where the fuel is made and stored. Then one more. The research lab. Okay, do a little pencil. This is where science projects happen. Okay, so now we have tabs for all of these. Eventually we're going to create an app that's going to be a collection of all of these once we really solidify all of the fields, you know, what kind of object relationships that we're going to want with these. So we do have all these now, and what we'd want to do is go ahead and create some sample data. So I'm going to go to the fueling center first. So I go into fueling stations, and so we have, again, we have a list view that hasn't been made yet. So we're just going to have new fueling station units. We're going to say 50 units of hydrogen. We're also going to go ahead and do 100 or 1,000 units of traditional rocket fuel, and then maybe 150 more units of hydrogen. And okay, so we have some fuel there. Create a list view for that. Hydrogen, list view for that would just be fuel inventory. And everyone can see how much fuel we have. And then also just select the fields to display. Alright, so we have a list view here. But I also want to go to the research lab and create some samples. So we'll say research project. Remember, this is a very basic object. And we'll say find a third source of fuel. Then we'll have one that's also called find out if pineapples grow here. It's very important. Okay, research lab. I'm going to create a new list view. All users could see this. One thing that we could look at quickly is the page layout for for research projects. I thought we had a status field. I'm pretty sure we do, and it's just not added. There it is. So I'm going to add this project status there. Save that. All right, now we're back into that list view. And something we could do here is you can edit your record. So now you see it's here. So let's say this one's in planning and this one's in progress. And then I could select fields to display, and you see that field is here now. I could add it there, and I'll pin that view. Okay, then we have our spaceport, and I want to go ahead and add some sample data, which would be the spaceships. So we'll have one called the Falcon 9, and that's going to be our SpaceX, and it's inbound. It's on the way. Create another. We'll have it BFR rocket. We'll call that SpaceX as well, and it is inbound. We'll have, let's see, inbound Blue Origin. We'll call it Moon Mars rocket. And let's go ahead and make one more, and we'll have it Tester Rocket 88. And let's say that's from Rocket Lab. And let's say that one's in repair and it's already on Mars. So that's quite the accomplishment. All right, so now we go back here. Want to go ahead and create a new list view. Oops, not a new record, a new list view. Spaceships. Spaceships at port. And everyone can see that, of course. It's hard to miss. And then we're also going to select the fields to display. Rocket status and company. Alright, so now we have this related list here, or this list view here, and pin that. So if I open up this record for Moon Mars rocket, it has this related tab here, and it'll show fuel reserves. So Moon Mars rocket, so here it is here, but let's say I go to this related tab here, it shows fuel reserves, and let's say that rocket also has, let's say 66, let's say it has 25 units of hydrogen fuel. So I save there. Now we know this is related to this Moon Mars rocket, that it has 25 units of fuel. So I can click here on that fuel unit, and this is a record inside of the fueling station. Remember the samples we made in the fueling station, there's now one more. These are all just inventory specifically at the fueling station. In the spaceport, this rocket, and it's related. So that one is specifically related to this rocket. That means it's on board of this rocket. I could also say the Falcon 9 rocket, let's say it's inbound, and it's also inbound with 122 units of traditional fuel. And now also if we go back to the fueling station, you'll see we have 122 here. One thing I didn't do here, which I'll go ahead and do, is make a better list view for that. So we'll say, call it global fuel, just so we know, because a lot of it's not on Mars. It's on rockets on the way to Mars. So we'll just call it that, and I will add our fields here, fuel reserves, type of fuel. Okay. So you see fuel reserves, these are on those rockets. This one's on Falcon 9, this one's on Moon Mars rocket. These are all the types of fuel, and then this is the units. So you can go in here and sort by types of fuel, or sort by if it's on a rocket or not. and then we have all of those. And I'm going to go ahead and pin that. So wow, just a little bit of work there to set up these basic objects. We'll definitely have to use more lookup relationships, probably between food storage when we start to get possibly different kinds of food, or field exploration and different missions and different people. Um, and you see we already have to do one between the fuel and the spaceport. We can also likely break that down into the spaceport and the spaceships. And so for now, we just have these, and we'll go ahead in the next video and do some specific just cleanup and tune up to some of these fields, and just some enhancements to the overall scheme that we have here. And then that will end this series. The next series, we will go ahead and start adding functionality and a little bit of automations, workflows, processes, and start turning this into more of a lively colony. So with that, I will see you all in the next video. Thank you.